The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Well, got plenty to get to here. Coach Matt going to be with us in studio for a couple of segments, and then he'll be with us by phone for the rest of the show. And as we get ready for this show, plenty to get to here. We have news about Tony Stewart's NHRA adventures. We have both the good and the bad, part of which was the predictable. Got a lawsuit in the Cup Series that's been dealt with, at least one. We're going to go into detail, more detail than what we did on the Cross Flags podcast about the 2026 IndyCar schedule. Silly season in Formula E, seeing drivers change teams, and there's a new team out there. I'll tell you about them. If you're wondering what the future for IROC is, well, they've made plans for 2026 to get on the track. We'll tell you about that. We've got Formula One talking about their sprint races in 2026. Those are all set, and, well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to get into it fully with CRN next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Well, let's get into this thing, shall we? Good morning to you. I'm Steve West. Matt Nicholson right over there. Producer John on our CRN Live on YouTube feed, and we're over there as well, monitoring everything. Hope everything's going well. Coach, you're going to be with us for what? First 2 segments?
Yes, sir.
And then by phone for the rest of the way.
Yep. Got a decent little road trip.
I got you. All right, let's talk about it then real quick. Let's recap last weekend, where last Saturday night at Bristol, 4 drivers would see their title hopes come to an end. A dozen others would find out they were moving on. Goodyear tires didn't make it easy either. Tires were only going about 40 laps, and then they would drop off. I mean, significantly. You really want graphic?
That's an understatement.
Yeah, if you want graphics on that, check out Cross Flags this week. Cord was showing. I mean, real bad. 4 laps to go. Christopher Bell, who was in 5th, made a charge that paid off. He wound out in the front, claimed the win. It means that Joe Gibbs Racing drivers actually swept the first round. We'll get back into that later. Chase Briscoe, Darlington, Denny Hamlin, Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, and now Bell at Bristol. Bell bested Brad Keselowski. Keselowski's just that hard luck guy this year, isn't he?
He had a shot Saturday.
He did.
He was trying to, and I tip of the cap to Brad here on this one. He tried to make his move clean without just a deliberate dump.
Yeah, he was trying to do an old-fashioned Bristol bump and run.
Yep.
Just get him to go up high on the track, get up under him, and go.
Yep.
And didn't work. Bell was ready for it. Zane Smith with a nice run, coming in 3rd. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano round out the top 5. Corey Heim in there with another good run. Carson Hocevar, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, Ty Gibbs round out the top 10. So your round of 16 is over. 4 drivers who will not be moving on. Austin Dillon, not a shock. Shane Van Gisbergen, a little bit of a surprise to us. We figured, both you and I did in our predictions, that he would survive round 1. And then round 2 wraps up at the Charlotte Roval. We figured he would be moving on and make it to the round of 8. No.
It kind of didn't happen there.
Alex Bowman. Something going to happen with that 48 car soon? I mean, how much more rope has he got at Hendrick?
I don't think it was so much it was him for the round. He had a lot of crew issues.
Yeah, but when you look at him in comparison to William Byron and even Chase Elliott, who isn't exactly, screaming into victory lane all the time.
Right.
But when you compare him to William Byron and Kyle Larson, and to a lesser extent, Chase Elliott, he pales in comparison. I'm sorry, he does. And there's really that one driver in every single team that always does that, especially in a 4-car operation.
No,
I get that.
He really does.
But yeah, he pales. I don't know. And then Josh Berry, who unfortunately, you and I predicted he would go out this round. Don't get me wrong. But you want to talk about a hard luck man. That first round was not kind to him.
Yeah, that was just hard luck period.
Yeah. Denny Hamlin goes into round of 12 as your 1 seed. William Byron and Kyle Larson are 2nd and 3rd seeds. On the bubble is Bubba Wallace. He is 1 point over the cut line. Austin Cindric is 1 under. Joey Logano, Ross Chastain tied at 2 under. Tyler Reddick at 3 under. So, yeah, there's going to more than likely be a lot of movement here. And it could happen this weekend at New Hampshire. Sunday, NHRA got in the first round of the countdown to the championship for them as at Maple Grove Raceway in Pennsylvania. Top Fuel, Doug Kalitta overcame a win/wreck in his early face-off against Tony Stewart to make the finals. Talk about that later. Sean Reed was the guy he took on. Kalitta barely quicker off the light, but then Reed took over. Kalitta loses traction. Reed runs a 3.844 ET at 326.63 miles per hour. That's his first NHRA win of 2025. I state that specifically because the very week before, and you noted this, his win in the IHRA puts him in some pretty elite company.
For the first time since 1999, an individual has won an IHRA race and an NHRA race back-to-back in Top Fuel.
Not a bad deal at all.
Not at all.
In Funny Car, Blake Alexander took on Cruz Pedregon, neither quick off the light. I mean, we're talking about guys who were well over 0.1 second of reaction time. We like to call that a sleep at the light.
Yeah.
Pedregon got rolling first. He uses that advantage in the other end with the win, runs a 3.969 ET at 333, I should say, 0.63 miles per hour. Cruz's first win of 2025, 40th win of his career, 3rd event win at Maple Grove, too. So the guy likes to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Pro Stock Car, Dallas Glenn makes it to the finals, takes on Cody Coughlin. Glenn much quicker off the light, cruises to the win, ultimately a 6.557 ET at 209.23 miles per hour. And John Hall taking on Matt Smith in the Pro Stock Motorcycle Finals. Where's Cade Charrera? Hall off the light first, goes on to claim the win, 6.802 ET, 199.70 miles per hour. In the process, that's his second win of the year and fourth of his career so far. This weekend's racing, we're going to get things rolling with the Craftsman Truck Series. Going to run the EJP 175 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway later today, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time to be specific. It'll air on Fox Sports 1 and the NASCAR Racing Network. Again, these are race times, not pre-race times, because TV and radio can be different. Sunday morning, Formula One gets things rolling with the Qatar Airways Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, street course that's 20 turns over 5.3 miles. This is a fairly lengthy, one of the lengthier courses in Formula One, and that means some pretty good speed. You've been checking out qualifying here.
Yes, Q2 just went to zeros, and laps are being finished up right now. But if nothing changes, and it should be known momentarily, but if nothing changes, the bottom 5 out in Q2 is Sonoda, Hamilton. No, as I said that, it just changed. Berryman is out due to the car breaking on lap 1. Lance Stroll, Gabriel Bortoleto, Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso as it stands.
Alonso out in Q2. Or Hamilton out in Q2.
Yeah.
Ouch.
As it stands right now, Hamilton's slow.
Yeah. Q1, who went out in Q1? Let's go ahead and mark those guys out too. It
was Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Gasly, and Albon.
Not really any big surprises on that one, unfortunately.
Nope.
Race will air on ESPN tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central Time. It moves to ESPN, even though Sunday is football day here in the United States of America because of that really early start time. We'll keep an eye on the qualifications here. In fact, as soon as we get done with the schedule for tomorrow, we'll go back to it and see if anything changed. NHRA's got their 4-wide nationals. First time we're going to get a 4-wide nationals in the countdown to the championship. That happens tomorrow at ZMAX Dragway in Charlotte, North Carolina. Finals get coverage on Fox Sports 1 at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. And the Cup Series, also in New Hampshire. They're going to run the Mobile 1 301. Airs on the USA and PRN Radio. Starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. Xfinity Series is off. IHRA's Outlaw Nitro Series also off this weekend. No change?
Correct. No change right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all checkers. So change.
Who's the top 10 and what was the speed that you noticed earlier?
The top 10 from 10 to 1 is Sonoda, Sainz, as they go to dadgum commercial break.
Of course.
Let's try it this way.
I'm shocked.
Sonoda, Sainz was 9 and 10 and 9. Reload. Come on. Reload. Here we go. So your bottom 5 out in Q2: Alonso, Hamilton, Bortoleto, Stroll, and Berryman. So it's Sonoda, Sainz, Hadjar. Sonoda, Sainz, Hadjar. Both McLarens, both Mercedes. Charles Leclerc, and I think I got them.
Okay.
It hasn't updated on the Twitter side yet.
Yeah.
But they went to commercial right when I was fixing to read it off. So thank you, Sky Sports.
Sure. You noticed, and I mentioned it, 5.3 mile long course. It's got a fairly long straightaway, even for a street course.
For the front stretch is really long.
Yeah, and they were getting some really good speeds.
Yeah, they're the top speeds of the weekend so far is Isaac Hadjar at 214 on the front stretch, from 214 down to a left-hander where you got to do it at 70.
Thank God for brakes.
Yep.
All right, we're going to lead off with the NHRA here because a couple of things, one of which we predicted, but it still makes big news. During the second round of the top fuel eliminations last Sunday, and we got to talking about it in the recap, just mentioning it, and the fact that Doug Kalitta's dragster crossed over the center line after the finish, got into Tony Stewart's. Stewart's actually flipped over on its side and hit the wall, prompting it to pop back up on its wheels. I think we got a picture of it. Producer John will find it and bring it up here momentarily, I think. Both drivers were awake. They were alert. They got out of their rides up under their own power. Stewart was kind of being escorted a little bit just to make sure, and were taken to the on-site care center. They were checked out by the NHRA personnel, including NHRA Chief Medical Officer Dr. Surface. Can't make that name up. Before they were released. Stewart, asked about it later, replied that he actually had no memory of the incident, but also said that he expects to miss no time. That normal?
Yeah. Probably because it happened so fast. He may have, with his car, I mean, he's got a canopy car.
Yeah.
And with him, he may have momentarily blacked out. But, you know, he did say afterwards that and I know this for a fact, he's had sprint car crashes that have been way worse than what that one was.
Okay. I mean, he appeared on a couple of different podcasts this week. One of them was with Kevin Harvick and Happy Hour, and he mentioned how what he did remember about it was, despite the fact that these seats are basically cocoons, he was being rattled around in there a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's with my eyes on a top fuel, I mean, in real life, on a top fuel cockpit, the way the headrests are, you are like here. The outside of your helmet basically slides into a gap and you're locked.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, they put no room in there whatsoever, mainly because of the G-forces you're going to pull.
Yeah, the G-forces, because you go from +8 to -8 when the chute's through.
Sure.
So that's a 16G swing.
And then you consider something like flipping over on your side and going back up, you could get a whole lot of bobbling action here.
It could have actually been the what he was talking about. It actually could have been his actual head inside of his helmet, because you've got the cushioning pads in the helmet, and you have a little bit of room. You can move and have pressure on one side or the other. So that very well could have been what he was talking about.
Okay. All right.
But once that helmet is in that headrest area, you're locked.
Yeah. And I read just a couple of minutes ago that he made it to Q2, the second round of qualifying for Top Fuel, and they had to shut the car off because they found a fuel leak on his Top Fuel ride. So
yeah, and the wreck, I mean, that was, if you watch the video in slow motion real carefully, Doug Coletta said he thought that the left rear tire went down. Actually, no. When you look and that car starts drifting to the center line, his left front tire is actually, the suspension is broke.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of, if you're watching on CRN Live on YouTube, you can kind of see where that tire's flat.
Yeah, it's broke. It's broke.
Parallel to the ground.
Yeah, it's broke.
So that's that situation. Obviously, we can't run the video. We don't have the rights to it. And then there's this. And this shouldn't come as any surprise to any of you listening to us here at CRN. Our listeners, viewers, certainly not any of the three of us, because if you paid attention to what we talked about when it came to this alliance between Tony Stewart Racing and Elite Motorsports and the NHRA, we noted that Elite had bought a Top Fuel program from Josh Hart right before that alliance got announced. It kind of went under the radar, but it was pretty important because we said it at the time, even though they didn't, that Smoke probably was going to end up driving that Top Fueler in 2026. It got confirmed on Thursday by both teams. They said that once they get it sponsored for the season, Smoke's driving it. It was revealed that the 6-time Pro Stock champion Erica Enders and veteran Pro Stock car racer Aaron Stanfield will test it as well, because they're going to work towards their Top Fuel licenses. I mean, no disrespect, Tony Stewart knows the fact that he's now in his 50s, and that doesn't mean the end of his career, but he can see it from here, so he's looking to the future as well.
First off, pretty sure when this alliance was announced, then it turned around that Richard Freeman and Elite bought the Top Fuel car, Josh Hart. Pretty sure I said on these platforms that we have at CRN that there's your driver right there.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure I did. Okay. Secondly, that car, I'm telling you, that car is already fully funded, because they would not put Sir Anthony Stewart in the seat of that car if it was not fully funded.
Well, and let's just assume for a moment that it isn't. Announcing him as your driver?
Oh, it's gonna be quick.
You grab the attention of any sponsor who was thinking about getting into it.
For sure.
So even if they don't have one single sponsor for it, they will shortly.
For sure.
But yeah, I tend to believe you're probably right. They're at least close to, if not fully funded already.
Right.
And the funny thing is, the Smoke has already said at one point in time he had no plans to race against his wife.
Think again, Junior.
Yeah. Here's that opportunity to find out who's better. Did I just say that? Stewart said of the chance, I said from the very beginning I was just keeping Leah's seat warm and that it was hers as soon as she was ready to come back. She is coming back, and that direct connection Dodge SRT Top Fuel Dragster is going to have her name on it, not mine. As much as I wanted to continue driving, TSR was not in a position to add a second Top Fuel car, but with Richard buying Josh Hart's program and our recent alliance, I can still work as an owner and as a driver to help both our organizations grow.
Alliance, second car. See where I'm going with this? You're basically in the second de facto TSR car.
Sure, yeah.
That'll be a TSR prepped car.
Well, and I got to ask this question because this has been a question for a lot of people. We just mentioned the fact that Tony Stewart Racing is running Dodges. Mm-hmm. Elite runs Chevrolets.
Doesn't mean that the top fuel car can't be Dodge.
Is this one of those things that they can work out between the two companies, or will we see Elite switch to Dodge? I mean,
basically, the one thing I learned, and I had an eyes on, and almost a hands-on view of it. Basically, when it comes to this manufacturer stuff in NHRA, it's basically just your nameplate and the logo on the car, because every single nitro engine has one baseline design. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Hemi setup.
So effectively, it's a Mopar.
Well, effectively it is, because Chevrolet's got the Chevrolet engines, the Toyota engines, and even the Ford. It has a baseline design of the Hemi engine.
There you go. And now you know. So we'll keep an eye on this and see how the whole thing goes. But, you know, again, I tend to think like he does. These are in two entirely different divisions. But, yeah, I mean, at some point in time, given the opportunity and the fact that the folks over at Stellantis, parent company of Dodge, seem to be more than happy to be fully invested in the racing world, it wouldn't surprise me if there is a pro stock car option coming in the very near future.
Oh, yeah.
And it wouldn't necessarily shock me if Elite went to it.
Nope.
We'll see.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
It's the Great American RV 2025 clearance event, and we're cutting prices to make room for 2026 models. Travel trailers only $151 a month, fifth wheels only $35,991, and motorhomes under $100,000. These are final markdowns. When they're gone, they're gone. Start your next adventure now with low payments, deep discounts, and fast nationwide delivery. Visit one of our locations or shop online at greatamericanrv.com today. 10.5% APR, 120 months, 20% down with approved Tier 1 credit. Offers include tax, title, license, and fees. Limited availability.
When you do business with the Tractor Place in Center, you've got zero to worry about. Why zero? With the Tractor Place's huge selection of Cub Cadet riding and zero-turn mowers, you get 0% financing for 48 months. If that's not good enough, try Bad Boy zero-turn mowers for 48 months at 0% interest. Better yet, after you buy, the Tractor Place services what they sell, and they'll work on any mower or tractor brand, even if you didn't buy it from them. Check out their full line of Coyote tractors. The Tractor Place, worth a drive from anywhere with zero concerns.
Find your place at Jack State. At Jacksonville State University, you'll feel like you're in the right place the moment you step on campus. With friendly faces, exciting student life, and endless academic opportunities, this is where you'll find your people, your passion, and your future. Come see for yourself why we're called the friendliest campus in the South.
for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back into the show. Since we were talking about the NHRA, let's go ahead and talk about it. They're actually qualifying already over at Charlotte ZMAX Dragway. Top Fuel got in, like I said, Q2. And you said that they were real close.
Yeah, this is from Q2, I think from yesterday.
Okay.
It's updated from yesterday. From 1st to 12th is 0.09 of a second.
These guys are tight.
P1 Brittany Force, of course.
Yeah. We're all shocked by that.
Yeah, is a 3.698.
What speed?
3:38.85.
Wow, that's a relatively pedestrian speed for her.
Yep. Tony Schumacher is sitting 12th at a 3.788 at 3:30.47.
Wow.
But Brittany Force 3:38.85. Doug Coletta 3:32.1. Steve Torrance 3:31.2. Sean Langdon 3:38 flat. Justin Ashley 3:35.9. Clay Milliken 3:35.3. Antron Brown 3:29.7. Sean Reed 3:30.7. Stewart 3:29.6. Josh Hart 3:26 flat. Dan Mercier 3:26.9. Tony Schumacher 3:30.4.
All right. And we'll be keeping an eye on Formula One. We'll check back in just before we hit the next break and before Coach Matt has to take off and join us by phone. Meantime, let's talk about the IndyCar series here. And we did show this initially during the Cross Flags. And we promised then that we were going to go more in depth into it today. And so we shall. We're talking about the 2026 IndyCar schedule. Now, we've known from some previous bits of news effectively what we were going to see on the slate from the season opener, the streets of St. Petersburg, all the way up to the Indy 500. And really the following week, the Detroit Grand Prix. All of that's pretty well known. But in the interest of being complete, let's give you the whole thing. Season opener is going to happen Sunday, March 1st, Streets of St. Petersburg Grand Prix. And don't forget, the day before, Craftsman Truck Series is going to be down there as well. So we've got one NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader weekend. Then they're going to head out, and they're going to pair up with NASCAR again and run on Phoenix Raceway on March the 15th. I'm sorry, March the 7th.
Yeah, March 7th.
That's going to be an interesting one because, correct me if I'm wrong, all three top NASCAR traveling series are going to be out at Phoenix?
Pretty sure, yeah. Let me confirm that, but we know Xfinity and Cup is.
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain the trucks go out there with them too, and that's going to be the one. And if that is, that makes for one really busy weekend at Phoenix. You want to talk about wanting to get weekend passes? You get a lot of racing.
They do not.
Xfinity's not, or Trucks
is not.
Trucks are not there. Okay.
Once they run at St. Petersburg, they will not run again until March 20th at Darlington. They only take one trip to Phoenix next year.
Okay. All right. So I sit corrected as I'm not standing. The next Saturday, again, they're on the road. So they kick off with 3 straight weekends of racing. After Phoenix, they start coming back east. They go to Texas, where they're going to run the inaugural Streets of Arlington Grand Prix. And then going to wrap the opening month, March 29th, right here in our home state of Alabama for Barber Motorsports Park. And that was the rumor that we were starting to hear, was that they were going to split up Barber and Talladega, which usually go on back-to-back weekends. Now they're about a month apart. I'm a little sad about that. I got to admit, I love having speed weeks here in Alabama.
Yeah,
There's something fun about
it
that.
is, but it's going to make the weather should be doggone outstanding that weekend.
Oh, heck, man. I mean, let's face it.
Should be.
The people out at Barber, they do a fantastic job of making that
Oh,
place
yeah.
look fantastic. There's a reason it's called the Augusta of the motorsports world. Let's face it.
The blooms should be
in
amplify
full
that
force.
much more.
Good gosh, yeah, you're probably right. After that, they're going to head back out west, Acura Long Beach, Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, April the 19th. Only race in April, because they could not come to terms with Mexico City on a race at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a moment once we get done with the schedule. In May, on the 9th, they're going to run the Indianapolis Grand Prix. That's on the road course, Memorial Day weekend, the 24th traditional Indy 500. And they're going to follow that up May 31st with the Detroit Grand Prix. So all of that we were very familiar with, or at least had a really good idea of.
Yep.
Here's where we start to get into the stuff that we weren't 100% certain on. June has 2 race dates. 7th, they're going to be at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. 21st, they're going to be at Road America. It's going to be a good time. Mm-hmm. July 5th, IndyCar taken to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course before they then come to Nashville for a race on July 19th that moves Nashville out of the season finale slot into the middle of July, and you and I talked about this.
In the Southeast.
You asked me, when are they running this race? And the good thing is Nashville Superspeedway has lights because they're going to run it at night.
Yeah.
Thank the good Lord above, because July 19th, it is Nashville, but it's still going to be hot. There's a reason for that. Fox has the rights to World Cup. The World Cup. World Cup finale is also going to be on July 19th. So they wanted to do a doubleheader. They're expecting to go from the final game of the World Cup straight into the IndyCar race.
Yep.
So that's an interesting little doubleheader.
Very.
Then we move into August, a race on my birthday at Portland International Raceway. No, I'm not going.
That's a long road trip.
That's a long road trip. Up to Canada the next weekend for the Streets of Markham race. Let me qualify that for just a moment. I'm not planning on going to Portland.
Keyword plan.
If somebody were to call me from, say, IndyCar and say, we want you, and they're paying for it, I'll go. Hint.
Delta.com, ATL, PDX.
I've done it before. It before.
Yeah.
Canada the very next weekend for the Streets of Markham race up in Canada. That's the one that takes the place of the Toronto race. Then they're going to wrap up August on the 29th and 30th, doubleheader weekend of the Milwaukee Mile before they end the season, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca on September the 6th. You and I talked at pretty good length about the whole situation about the fact that they're stuck on 17 races. They're ending their season ridiculously early in comparison to Formula One, to NASCAR, and the NHRA.
Yeah.
We talked about that at length during Cross Flags.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much to add, but if you have something, go for it.
You could easily, the way they've got the dates spaced out so far, you could easily stretch it to the first part of October.
Oh, yeah. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. Why aren't we expanding this out to, why aren't we trying to get up to 20 races?
You could easily run 20. Easily.
And that would get you into, even if you spread them out, that would get you into early, maybe mid-October, depending on how you spread it out.
Well, you could could realistically add one date into April. Okay. There's your 18th.
Mm-hmm.
You could add one more into July.
Yeah.
If you geographically set it,
Sure.
you could add one more into July.
You could.
Okay. There's 19. Dare I say you could go to 21 and end it the week before the first week of October.
Yeah.
Which would really be this upcoming weekend.
But here's the thing. Even with it the way that it's currently set, if you just added 3 on to the end of the season and you went into early October.
You could.
I mean, you've got NASCAR and Formula One going into November, so's the NHRA.
Yeah, and instead,
You're still ending well before any of them.
You are. I mean, if you're going to have in Monterey, you could backtrack across and let's say go back to Texas, backtracking across the country. Let's throw this out for giggles. How about we take Barber out of March? We put the Ultimate Speed Week. Dude, it could be a picturesque backdrop and setting. Do the championship at Barber.
Yeah, and you'd have the leaves changing colors. Yeah, that'd be an interesting look too.
Will Buxton would be losing his mind on Fox.
Well, so that's one thing. And again, we went into more detail about it on Cross Flags. One interesting thing to note, for example, we went from July 19th to August 9th. Went and looked at this because I heard somebody mention that they thought that there was this hole. And I went and I looked it up. None of NASCAR's top 3 series run the weekend before. So August 2nd, for example, would be that Sunday. None of NASCAR's top 3 series run August 1st, 2nd. Formula One's not running August 1st, 2nd. So Formula One, all of NASCAR and IndyCar are all off August 1st and 2nd. That's a weird little hole, number one. Number two, yes, IndyCar talked to Mexico City. They couldn't put it together in time, so nothing there. And IndyCar did and is still exploring putting a race on the streets of Washington, D.C. That idea coming from their broadcast partner, Fox. But they started talks with city officials pretty much way too late for any of it to be able to be worked out in time for them to put that race on in the 2026 schedule.
And Jeff Burton had the nerve to say on Dale Jr.'s podcast this week that TV has no influence of what happens. Give me a break.
It depends on the network a little bit more than others, but when you consider how much Fox is invested in doing this with IndyCar, it doesn't surprise me at all that this suggestion by Fox went to the point where this appears to be not just in the conversation's sake, but certainly in the conversation, very, very potential, very, very likely, I would say, for the very near future, maybe as soon as 2027.
Probably so. But where I debunked that theory that he had is because I considering that I literally laid my eyes on the governor of South Carolina and the track president at the time of Darlington tell the TV networks, we're not racing tomorrow, we're racing tonight.
Yeah.
Let's begin the 24 hours of Darlington, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. We have seen where the tracks have a lot of sway over it. We've seen where the networks have a lot of sway over the whole situation. So, yeah, we get it. We've seen it from a different side. And then social media being what it is, which is, especially lately, a cesspool, not being overly kind to this new schedule. The overall feeling in scanning the responses, for example, on X, Twix, whatever you want to call it, it's kind of meh. They felt like it could have been better. Okay, yeah, I can see where they're coming from. Some wonder why they're ignoring, for the most part, ovals. When you look at it, yeah, you got Phoenix there. You've got Indianapolis, which is the obvious one. You got Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. And where else am I looking at here? Milwaukee Mile, Nashville. They're not going back to Iowa. Iowa's not there.
Well, they messed. Sorry, but they messed Iowa up by taking it out of a nighttime slot and putting it in daytime.
I agree with that. So that's a problem, but maybe even a bigger problem is the fact that other than being in Indianapolis, you effectively ignore the northeastern part of the country, and you've got a fantastic track that really does host IndyCar and put on a great IndyCar show, and that's Watkins Glen.
Pocono's not too bad for an IndyCar track.
No, but if you didn't want to go to Pocono, you've been to New Hampshire before.
Yeah. You got New Hampshire because that's basically a spitting image of Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. New Hampshire.
Did you go to Liebrandt Park with IndyCar?
I don't see why not. If a truck can run around there and IMSA cars can run, an IndyCar can run.
Yeah. I mean, think about the nice facilities that are up in that area, and you've got a pretty nice selection here going across the country, southeast, plains area. Yeah, I know you're ignoring Iowa, but still, you kind of go up from the plains, from Canada all the way down to Mexico border. You got the West Coast, but you're ignoring Northeast.
The furthest Northeast track that they have, taking away Markham, because it's out of the United States.
Yeah, because it's Canada.
Is Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, because that is further east than Indianapolis.
Yes, further east, and is in between Columbus and Cleveland.
I'm going to say it right now. I don't have a major problem with this IndyCar schedule, but like anything that's made by human beings, it's imperfect. I admit that. It's imperfect.
Absolutely.
You know, you missed a great opportunity there on that August 1st, second weekend, like I said, because you don't have Formula One, you don't have NASCAR's competition. You really could have had the weekend effectively all to yourself. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, you're stuck on 17 races. I don't know why you're stuck on 17 races. This needs to expand. You need to get at least, I think, 20 races in a season. And you need to not end on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, you can
go later in the year.
Yeah, you can run 20 easy.
Yeah.
They could run 24.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that, but let's start with 20. Let's see if you can go to 20.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere.
And then we'll worry about expanding out.
Right.
But right now, you're getting your lunch handed to you by both NASCAR, which is the ratings king here in the United States of America, and you're starting to get your lunch handed to you by Formula One.
Slowly but surely.
And they've only got 3 races here in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
But they're starting to hand you your lunch, man.
Yep.
Figure it out,
that they
Captain.
are.
Figure it out. We got to take a break here real quick. Let's talk about qualifying.
They are They just have started the session back. For what reason, I don't know.
Okay, so they got delayed.
Yeah,
so I'll
delayed.
try and keep an eye on
delayed.
that. And that means we're going to let Matt head on to his vehicle, and he will join us by phone starting in the next segment. So he will be with us all show. It'll just be by phone. We're going to continue talking about IndyCar here because we're starting to see silly season take a little bit more shape. After Team Penske let Will Power go, we told you where he landed. We'll remind you of that. That seat's now been filled. And what's left? We'll talk about it when we get back right here on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Yes, we are with a slight change. Matt on the phone, correct?
I'm here.
Hey, all right. That worked. I'm getting better at that, surprisingly. I'll try and get us updated here on Formula One before we get to, end of the show. Let's put it that way. So don't worry about that. If they just started Q2, we'll get to it probably right after top of the hour. In the meantime, talking IndyCar news where Team Penske, we talked about this before, so you know this part of it, but I'll remind you anyway again. Will Power is announced out of the 12 car at the end of the season. He's already signed with Andretti Global. So that left that seat open. Pretty desirable seat, all things considered, even though the fact that Team Penske had what we would consider to be a down year. This is not a surprise. We kind of figured this was going to happen, and it did. David Malukas will slide over. He has signed a multi-year deal to slide over from the affiliated AJ Foyt Racing to take on the 12 car with the Verizon sponsorship. So the car's not going to look vastly different. It'll just have a different driver in the car, and that starts next season. Not surprised. You and I kind of figured this was going to happen.
Yeah, I seen it coming. I mean, And it was obvious because, and this is now I would consider this the David Malukas redemption tour because of how the thing went down with McLaren, and now he's in just as good of a seat. So I think he's on the redemption tour for sure.
I agree. So with that move, what does it leave open? Not much. 4-car at AJ Foyt Racing is open. That's one of the very few seats, and among the ones that we know of being open, easily the most coveted, again, because of that partnership with Team Penske. The other seats that we know of at this time that are available, there is one seat available at Juncos Hollinger Racing. You got the pair of Dale Coyne Racing seats. That seems to be a yearly thing where they can't figure out from year to year what they're going to do with their drivers. There is one other possibility, but this one hasn't been triggered yet. This regards the number 30 at Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing and driver Devlin DeFrancesco. Apparently, there are clauses in his contract related to performance, but there wasn't much. The car finished next to last in the final 2025 standings amongst all of the cars that are what we would now call chartered. So 27 chartered cars. He finished 26th. That's not good. So his future is not confirmed at this point. It is believed that the team wants him back in the 30 car. The question is, does DeFrancesco want to be there, considering the fact that they have a lot of room for improvement? And it's not just his car. I should mind you, the other two cars are outside the top 10 in points at the end of the year as well. So the team as a whole has a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, from a Honda standpoint of teams that have been successful in the past, Rahal Letterman has fell off by the wayside, like in a very unexpected manner, and they've got a lot of work to do overall.
They were a 2-car team until just recently here. Is that third car, because they seem to hesitate a lot when it came to putting that third car out there. Is that third car a burden? Or is there something else going on, you think?
It's really hard to say because of the simple fact of in some cases 3 cars can be an asset, and in some cases 3 cars can be a burden. So it's really hard to say, but even before they added the third car, full-time car, they still weren't lighting the world on fire by no means.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it could very well likely be a combination of things from the simple fact of resources being stretched so thin. If they don't have the right resources in place and have enough resources in place, you're defeating the purpose.
Okay. Yeah. Well, time will tell. We'll find out. We also noted this, a recent Crossed Flags episode, Indy Next Series getting settled in, and after they took a year off from it, Juncos Hollinger Racing set to return to action in that secondary division. For 2025, the team said that they were going to put all their resources into their 2-car Indycar operation. This week, though, team owner Ricardo Juncos said this, quote, "I'm very happy to announce our return to Indy Next. Since 2015, we've enjoyed great success in this series, helping develop many talented drivers through the program. Now, after completing our 4th consecutive IndyCar season, we feel we can now offer an even stronger pathway through our Indy Next team. By combining our proven track record in Next with experience that we've gained in IndyCar, not only on the sporting side, but also in technical development and research and development, we've created a significant advantage for our program. Primary focus is to give our drivers every tool that they need to rise to the pinnacle of IndyCar. Again, this announcement was just for the re-entry. Juncos stated that drivers and more details about the Indy Next program will be coming soon. This probably shouldn't come as a major surprise to anybody. Again, we talked about it on that recent episode of Cross Flags and the fact that this is IndyCar's renewed, what do you want to call it, interest in developing the Indy Next program into becoming a much bigger program than what it really has been over the last couple of years. We've seen it on the track. You and I have seen it out on the track at Barber, but it just doesn't get the press that IndyCar does. And when you think about, for example, using NASCAR as the example, Cup Series Xfinity does get a lot of press. Indy Next doesn't.
Yeah.
And this is their stating, hey, let's see if we can't give this a little bit more presence on the motorsports world.
Sure. I mean, and they rightfully should be able to give them that chance to have more presence because, as you said, it's basically the de facto Xfinity series Like Indy NXT to IndyCar is Xfinity to Cup.
Right.
In that comparison. So they rightfully deserve just as much attention, too, if you ask me.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. And we'll find out whether or not it actually works, because that's the key. You know, I'd like to think that these men and women, because it's a little bit of both, let's face it, I'd like to think that they both could really do a nice job of being able to show who they are and have those names be much more aware and apparent in the public's mind and in the public's eye, because that's only going to help them as they get into IndyCar.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Still, what are we looking at? Clock is stopped at 3:41 left in Q3, so we'll keep an eye on what the heck might that be as we turn our attention over to Formula One here. Seems that the previously released F1 schedule not set in stone. Officials announced a couple of changes, mostly to time when it came to the actual slate, but the main thing that they did was that they finally announced the sprint races that were going to be on the schedule. It's still going to be 6 for 2026. No change there, but 3 places that had not previously held a sprint race, Canada, the Netherlands, and Singapore, now all of a sudden will get to host a sprint race next year. We'll give you a look at those here in just a moment here as producer John will find it and bring it up. China, Miami, they both held sprint races this year. They will again next. Britain is going to host one again. This marks, though, their first sprint race since the 2021 season, but this means that they're back. And then you got the 3 that are first-timers that I mentioned just a moment ago, which is Canada, the Netherlands, which they're in their final year of being on the schedule, so they get a sprint race. Thank you for being here. I don't know. And Singapore. So this 6 means Belgium, Austria, Brazil, Qatar, who host sprint races or hosted sprint races this year. They're going to be watching other tracks host them next year. F1 officials, again, they continue to toss around the idea of adding more sprint races to the schedule in coming years. Considering we're doing 24 races, is 6 just a nice little tease to leave us wanting more, or do you think it's just flat out not enough, Matt?
Personally, I think a good number would be 8. Do 8 sprint races, be a third of the schedule, have sprint races with it.
So you'd add 2.
6 is decent. I'd add 2 more. Yeah. 6 is decent. 8 is better.
And I look at this and I think about the schedule here, and it's very front-loaded if you stop and think about it. The first half of the season really is, they got 4 of the 6 there. China, Miami, and Canada. Miami and Canada are back-to-back weekends now. And China is not that far before Miami. I was trying to think. I think there's a race in between. Is it China, then Japan, and then a week off, come to the U.S. or something like that? I'd have to bring up the schedule here.
I think so, yeah.
But those three races are in rapid-fire fashion. Great Britain's going to happen before they get to their August break. And then Netherlands is generally either the last one before the August break or the first one coming out of it. So, yeah. And I think that's the same way next year, because I'm looking at, what's the 21st to the weekend of the 21st of August next year. So that's just coming out of the August break for Netherlands. So only 2 races happen in the latter part of the year. That seems very, very front-loaded on their part.
Big time. Big time.
Well, we'll see what happens. Greatest day in racing, getting a makeover. If you look right there on that sprint schedule that I thank producer John for keeping up, you notice Canada comes up Memorial Day weekend. Think about that for a second. Number one, we're not in Monaco to kick off the greatest day in racing. The greatest day in racing is now the Indy 500, the Canadian Grand Prix for Formula One, and the Coca-Cola 600.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can deal with that, but Formula One decided that they could have tried to take IndyCar on directly, but they decided not to. And I do kind of wonder whether or not TV had any role in this. And you can think about this while I'm talking about this, Matt. Think about this for a second. All 3 series are going to run. Indy 500 start time at 12:45 Eastern, 11:45 a.m. Central Time. That is going to be on Fox. Then F1 takes the center stage with the Canadian Grand Prix. F1 officials have adjusted the start time for this, and we don't know where this is going to be. Right now, ESPN, ABC have the rights to it, but it appears that it's going to go to streaming. Apple Plus looks to be the leader in the clubhouse, but Amazon Prime says that they're still in this, and ESPN, ABC still has their bid out there. So we'll see. We don't know yet who's going to do this. But the race in America's hat going to get rolling at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. So what they've done is they've given the Indy 500 a little bit over a 3-hour window to get the race in. And that actually can be done. It should be noted that the last 5 Indy 500 races that were not delayed by rain went from start to finish in under 3 hours. And if that happened again, Memorial Day next weekend, that would allow the start to finish coverage and the victory lane celebration before then you would transfer over to F1.
Mm-hmm.
And F1's Canadian Grand Prix, that fits into a 2-hour window, which would allow race fans to go straight from the Indy 500 to the Canadian Grand Prix, include the post-race podium celebration, and still get in there in time for probably most, if not all, of the pre-race ceremonies of the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. And you wouldn't really miss much, if anything. Now, obviously, Mother Nature has to cooperate, but we've seen it happen before. This is a real tight window, though.
It's a very tight window, but it's an extremely smart move, in my opinion, by F1 and Sky Sports. Let's just say that F1 and Sky Sports for not trying to go head on with the Indianapolis 500, because that would be the absolute insanely dumbest move in the history of motorsports broadcasting if you're going to try to take on the Indy 500 head on.
Yeah, because you and I have checked out the viewership on this, and regardless of what your average viewership is for any given IndyCar and or F1 race, we know that the most popular Indy race is the Indy 500. This past year, it got more than 8 million viewers on Fox.
Yep.
Even the most popular Formula One race over the last couple of years, the Miami Grand Prix at just over 5 million, can't touch that.
No, not even close.
Yeah, so I think this is a very wise move. This is, I'm not even going to put it on TV. You know, I mean, Sky Sports obviously knows that it's their coverage that's going to be happening over here in the United States, whether it's ESPN, ABC, Apple Plus, or Amazon Prime, doesn't matter. They're probably going to grab the Sky Sports coverage, which I understand that. I would. Because they do a fantastic job.
Yeah, that would be the smart move. But think about it from this aspect. Say Amazon Prime does pick it up, and they have it for next year and beyond. Talk about a lead into the 600, have F1 and 600 back-to-back.
Yeah, that would be true. You are right. But even more so, you want to make sure that you've got your best opportunity to ensure that you have the stage to yourself. Now, again, Mother Nature has a play in this, so to make sure that you're not up against either one of them, that is a big deal. I honestly think this was F1 and FIA officials going, you've got this window, you need to take advantage of this window instead of trying to take on anything else, because they know that these two races that bracket it now, which are the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, these are crown jewel races, and you don't want to mess with that.
Nope.
Yep, I got you.
You
All
don't.
right. Still waiting for everything to resume here. From what I understand, there was a crash there that kind of stopped everything, and they're just about ready to start re-rolling here. So, yeah, they're still looking at 3:41 left on the clock. Probably will be well into next hour before we actually get into it. Now, we're not done, obviously. Canadian Grand Prix, talked about that. We'll also talk about some of the other races here that are coming up in next year's schedule, because we have found out exact times. And they did a really nice job of doing some scheduling here for us in the Western Hemisphere, making it very easy for us to watch. Usually, like I said, tomorrow's Azerbaijan Grand Prix starts at 6 a.m. Central Time. It's not exactly the most convenient for most people on a Sunday morning. But then again, they are 9 hours ahead of us.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. Tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
More racing action includes what just wrapped up over in Baku, Azerbaijan. The F1 lineup for tomorrow is set. Q3 just wrapped up, and this is going to be interesting here. The McLarens, which have owned everything, and by the way, could actually lock up the Constructors' Cup title this week. I'll tell you how in a moment. They don't start well. From 10 to 1, Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in 10th. In 9th, the McLaren of Oscar Piastri, Matt. Now, he did have a crash, but that's not good. Piastri was beaten out by Isaac Hajar, who qualifies 8th.
Not surprised.
Then in 7th, the other McLaren of Lando Norris. So neither of them even make a top 5 start this week.
But I can guarantee you they will be up there in the race trim very quickly.
Well, and here's the other side of it. We were talking about the fact that this is a very high-speed track. Despite the fact that it's a street course, it's a high-speed track. And the McLarens aren't really set up for high speed. They're set up for cornering. We saw that at Monza last race.
Yep.
All right, so let's go into 6th place. Red Bull of Yuki Tsunoda. This might be one of, if not the best, qualifying sessions Yuki Tsunoda has had since he moved up to Red Bull.
It is.
5th and 4th are, George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. Then you get into the top 3. Liam Lawson. Where did he come from?
That's that Red Bull straight line speed.
It must be. And maybe the biggest surprise, even bigger than Liam Lawson, 2nd place qualifier, Carlos Sainz and the Williams.
I'm not terribly surprised.
Now, Carlos Sainz is a great driver, don't get me wrong, but I didn't realize Williams had enough speed to be able to do that.
I'm not terribly surprised, but in a way, I mean, it's good for them that they're showing it.
Yeah, and to nobody's surprise, or shouldn't be to anybody's surprise, Max Verstappen claims the pole. Yeah, we're all shocked by that, I'm sure. Woof. All right, then. Way to go. Let's continue to talk about the schedules. Canadian Grand Prix, we just got done talking about. Let's talk about the Western Hemisphere-based races other than the Canadian Grand Prix. Miami on May the 3rd. It's going to start 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. That seems a little early, but then again, we're only talking about a 2-hour window there for a race, so they should be done well before dark, assuming, of course, Mother Nature cooperates.
Yeah.
U.S. Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas is going to get rolling 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. That, don't really have a problem with that. Mexican Grand Prix the next weekend, going to start up 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. Then they go to Brazil. That's a 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central start time. Remember, they're way out, even further out before the Eastern time zone. Then they're going to head to Vegas. This is going to be the outlier. November 21st, Vegas. That's a night race. Is going to get started 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. in Vegas. This is a little bit earlier. They